For today's video, we're doing something a little different, and I'm super excited about it. We are going to be showing you the most haunted places in San Antonio. Because Halloween is coming up right now, we're gonna go explore a couple of the places in San Antonio that we think are kind of highlighted as the most haunted. We've got the Menger Hotel, the Lambermont, Alamo Theater, and the Minger. We are going to be touring 4 of San Antonio's most haunted places. First one, we're already here. You can see it behind me right now. It's the Terrell Castle, also known as the Lambermont Castle. Originally built in 1890 time frame for the ambassador to the president, Benjamin Harris. If you didn't know Benjamin Harris, to the president at the time, Benjamin Harrison. If you didn't know Benjamin Harrison was the president, you're just like me because I had no clue. Edwin Holland Terrell had this place built. He was a lawyer and a statesman, and he asked an English architect named Alfred Giles to build him a castle right here in San Antonio. Now you can see across the street from us is Fort Sam Houston. So during the early 1920s, this place was converted from this mansion, this castle, into a small multi-family living quarters for the military families that were stationed in San Antonio and had to be at Fort Sam Houston. During that time frame, a lot of weird stuff started happening. So, we got to go back to the beginning. Edwin Holland Terrell, early 1900s. He's lived here for a couple decades. Develops syphilis, and it gets real bad. It turns into neurosyphilis, and if you don't know what that means, it means it goes into your brain. You start to go into dementia, start to lose it. He was really in a bad place and was not feeling so hot. And he decided that the best thing to do would be to end his life. So, here at the back portion of the castle, you can see this balcony where the master bedroom is. I'm making this up, actually. You don't know where it is, but I'd imagine it's somewhere over here. He decided to kill himself, but the bullet misses his brain and goes around the curvature of his skull, and he winds up incapacitated and lays in the hospital for 10 days waiting to die. They say that up there, you get his ghost returns every once in a while to fuck with people. Okay, so it gets weirder. Starts getting weirder. Like I was talking about, World War II comes around, there's lots of families living here. Ooh, creepy. Okay, so when it was converted into the multi-family living quarters, a family was living here. Military man comes home, finds his wife, 3rd floor bedroom with another man. He gets so angry, pushes her off the balcony. She falls to her death on the 3rd floor. From the 3rd floor, lands somewhere in this courtyard here. And they say that her blood stains were still there for a very long while.
So
let's see. Yeah, we think maybe that's the window up there, but who knows. I wonder if people get married out here.
I see people inside.
You think they're looking at us?
I don't know what they're doing, but I wonder if there's an event going on inside.
There might be an event going on. So I guess now it's a wedding venue, and maybe they don't tell people about this, like all the murders that happen here. Personally, I don't know how I'd feel about getting married somewhere where somebody was pushed from the 3rd floor. So during construction of this castle, apparently one of the contractors was in trouble with the government. He also jumped from the 3rd story to his death here near the patio to, I guess, get out of trouble from the government, which who knows what kind of trouble it could be. Maybe he owed him some taxes. Maybe he was a spy. Who knows? But nonetheless, he also died. So another time, a couple who was staying here reported that their mini TV went sailing off the table and out the window. I think overall, you don't want to stay on the 3rd floor of this building. It's just too tempting to jump off. And additionally, some people have heard footsteps in the house when there's nobody here. There have been plenty of times when you are asleep and you wake up and you feel like flinging yourself out the window. Personally, that's just something that happens every night, no matter where I'm sleeping. Okay, so we were just walking around, and it turned out the owner, the current person who lives on site at this event center, came up, and I told her what we were doing, and she said, Yeah, you'd be really disappointed. I live here and there are no ghosts here. So just keep that in mind. I mean, maybe you do want to have a wedding here. I don't know. A couple people died. Believe in ghosts. You might see them. If you don't, it's like Santa Claus, you know? It definitely looks haunted from here. I can see why people would get that feeling. It's larger than life. So I brought my own ghost with me. Did you see her? She's gone. Okay, so this was going to be the last one on the video, but we just checked into the hotel at the Minger, which is by far the most famous and most haunted place in San Antonio, especially in terms of hotels. If you are a connoisseur of ghost stories and apparitions and hauntings, the Minger Hotel is where you want to be. So if you didn't know, the Minger Hotel is situated on the battlegrounds of where the Alamo, the battle for the Alamo actually happened, and the Alamo is right next door. So it's also a great location for any kind of tourism if you're here just to see San Antonio. It's close to the Riverwalk, it's downtown, it's a lot of fun. But it was filter on and it was bad. Okay, so I've got to redo this because I read all of the wrong ones. The Minger Hotel, constructed 1857 on the battlegrounds of the Alamo, rumored to house 32 ghosts, and guests reported countless paranormal phenomena. Even guests like our very own Tori Thorne, who sleptwalked through. Do you have the key? Make sure we don't forget the key, because ghosts are very particular.
No, whenever I sleptwalked, the ghost left my room unlocked.
Maybe you... That's crazy, dude. Witnesses here at the Minger Hotel have reported beds levitating off the ground, hearing strange rapping noises, seeing nearly translucent faces appear next to theirs in mirrors. How creepy would that be? The scent of cigar smoke, inhaled in rooms that allow no smoking. Heavy doors are known to open with no source to have actually pushed them, and visitors report seeing apparitions of a man wearing a buckskin jacket, a woman, and a boy, and the sounds of soldiers marching. One of the first ones, and most notable, is Sally White. She was a chambermaid shot by her abusive common-law husband, Henry Wheeler, near the hotel in 1876, one of the first murders on the property of the Minger. I'm having a hard time breathing. I think it might be the ghosts. She ran to the hotel where she was cared for by widowed Mary Minger for 2 days before she passed away. There are records that show Mary paid for her funeral costs. Interesting. Little foul play. She walks the halls performing chambermaid duties. The front desk receives calls about a strange maid wearing an old-fashioned uniform who suddenly disappears. So, we're out here on the balcony where a lot of people have seen some suspicious activity. Ladies in ball gowns, ghosts walking about. So it actually could have just been people.
Yeah, but I feel like maybe it was a different balcony then. There's a lot of balconies on
There are a lot of balconies. So Teddy Roosevelt was actually a frequent guest here in the 1890s and 1900s, recruited for the Rough Riders on the patio area of the hotel. I personally didn't realize how much time Teddy Roosevelt had spent here, but recently there was a sighting of his ghost apparition figure in a mirror. Somebody took a picture with their cell phone of the bar in the Minger, which we're going to visit later and have a couple drinks and maybe summon the spirit of Teddy himself. But they frequently see his ghost at the bar area. He was known for being a pretty gregarious and fun guy. So his nearly translucent figure never moves, just sits there, doesn't shift. Nevertheless, staff have reported the feeling that they're being watched while they're in the bar. I would personally love to see Teddy Roosevelt. He's one of my favorite presidents. He had a big part in creating open open public land for parks in our country, which was pretty cool. So if you go to a national park, good chance that Teddy Roosevelt helped save that and preserve it for you. But also, if you want to see him in person, come on down to the Minger Hotel and have a drink. One more ghost we're going to look for today. Captain Richard Kind, Confederate tycoon who founded the legendary King Ranch. Frequent guest and spent the last days of his life at this hotel, and his funeral was actually in the foyer of this hotel. The room he died in is now called the King Ranch Room. We need to find that one. The King Ranch Room. And his ghost can be seen entering his room and walking through the walls. So, obviously, a lot of strange things happen here. I feel like when you're here, you do feel that, you definitely feel something, you know? Maybe it's the cold air of the AC, or maybe it's something else. We're gonna bust out the infrared camera later and see if we can spot some paranormal activity. Also brought a Ouija board. Gonna have a seance. No, we didn't do any of that. But it's a good chance that we will see a ghost tonight. Okay, we're walking through like the grounds outside of the Minger, in between the Menger Hotel and the Emily Morgan, where we're headed next. We got to walk right past the Alamo to get to the Emily Morgan. And on the grounds of the Emily Morgan, over 600 people were supposedly killed. And at the time, it was actually the medical arts facility. So there were like 100 physicians practicing there, and they supposedly, a lot of the patients who were in the Emily Morgan as the medical arts building had psychological conditions, probably related to the war, probably related to a lot of other things. Psychological conditions weren't really well treated or understood at the time. The medical arts facility had a crematorium and morgue inside of it, and I guess the remains of that crematorium and morgue are still present. Obviously not operational, but we're gonna find out what makes the Emily Morgan so creepy. So a lot of the reportings inside the Emily Morgan Hotel actually still center around some of the medical arts building things. People will hear hospital carts wheeling around in the middle of the night. They'll see people walking, ghosts walking with white gowns on, and they'll hear the phone will ring in the middle of the night. Nobody will be on the other end. Elevators will stop on random floors all the time, and there is no 13th floor in this building, but on the 14th floor is where some of the most hauntings and most of the sightings of apparitions occur. Now, if you look on the building itself, you're going to see a lot of gargoyles and sculptures that represent some of the things that went on here, some of the ailments that were treated in the hospital or medical arts facility. I don't know what medical arts is. I guess they stopped using that term at some point, but that is what a lot of the kind of ghosts that people see are related to. Check this out. This is a creepy ass building. I wasn't recording. We're about to try to get into the morgue right now. We're on the ground floor. We're going to see what happens. Or go to the 14th floor. Apparently on the 14th floor, it smells like antiseptic and Band-Aids. Actually, it does. And apparently the elevators get stuck on random floors sometimes.
Ooh, this is not an elevator that I like.
It's a creaky elevator. It's pretty creepy. You smell that? It smells like Band-Aids. That's not a lie. Whoa, and I just got really nauseous. My head just started hurting. What the hell? Lot of noises. Okay, so it smells like a freaking hospital, I swear to God. They have soft drinks and ice. This was apparently the floor that, this is the 13th floor. Don't get me wrong. They say there's no 13th floor, but we all know how to count. You don't go from 12 to 14 and then say 14 is not 13. That's just silly. Okay, there's not actually a morgue here anymore, but this wouldn't be very interesting if you didn't think there was. Okay, so overall, It's really just a hotel. The elevator was the worst. The smell is not, the best I've ever smelled. It does kind of smell like a hospital. Okay, somebody explained to me why every old-fashioned downtown has a full orange peel and a maraschino cherry instead of a Luxardo cherry. Now, I understand Luxardo cherries are expensive, but... Okay, you have any ghost stories from this hotel? I just want to see the orb.
Oh.
So I've been searching all day for ghosts and we haven't seen any, and no one else has any good stories. So
Really?
yeah.
Okay, let me show you.
Okay. So there's an orb around your finger. You didn't feel anything?
No, I didn't feel anything.
It definitely doesn't look like it's from the Flash. It definitely
not.
looks like...
Yeah, because I asked
so
a
how
lot
do they
of people
explain that?
and some ghost hunters, and they told me that it's an orb. It's not from the Flash.
What is that, a morgue?
Crematorium. Yeah, the morgue was
still down there?
downstairs. Well, it was. Right now, they don't have. I mean, it's just rooms for meeting, conference rooms.
Creepy. Creepy conference.
And the restroom. So that's what I took my picture. And also, I was cleaning a table in the corner right there when I just started to work here. And I felt someone behind me. So I felt the presence. So I turned around and it was a man just in front of me, all in black, with a hat, long black coat, boots, like the old style.
A real man?
A man! Well, to me it was a man until I find out it was a ghost. Right there in the corner. Right there, I felt the presence, so I turned around and it was just in front of me, all in black. But I couldn't see his face, it was like a black shadow.
Yeah.
So I was like, what is this? A man or what is? So I tried to touch him, and when I touch him, disappeared.
They don't like it when you tell their story. So she just told the story of a guy waking up in the middle of the night with somebody sitting on his chest. The shower turned on, nobody in the shower. This is creepy, huh? That she just told that story and the lights flickered. To me, that was very strange.
I know, thought that was weird.
We better get to the theater though. Okay. I'm actually kind of happy to get out of here. I went into a bar, saw a lady's orb. This whole part of downtown San Antonio has a very creepy vibe to it. Obviously, like, all of the buildings are early 1900s. We're centered around the Alamo Plaza where a lot of people were killed. Thousands of people, in fact. A lot of bloodshed here. San Antonio is a very bloody town. The streets are littered with dead people. Bodies burning. Got morgues over here and crematoriums over there and Ripley's Haunted Adventure over there. So far so good. I mean, the fact that the lights turned off when she was telling us the story, the man in all black, and the guy that had a ghost sitting on his chest, all very strange. Alright, before the camera dies, we are outside the Alamo Street Theater, which I remember at one point was called the Casbah, and then it was like a hot dog place that was super good. I really liked it. Alamo Street Theater, originally built in 1912 as the Alamo Methodist Church in 1912, served the community for 56 years before closing in 1968. It was abandoned and vacant, became a place of a homeless shelter. 1976, it was turned into a restaurant, green room, dinner theater, lower floor, and the Alamo Street Theater on the upper floor. Then it was Casbeers, which I remember until May of 2011. Damn, I'm old. Most recently, it was a gourmet hot dog place called Frank's. The hot dogs were banging. I remember them being out of control and not haunted at all. Some of the spirits. You have the female spirit of Margaret Gething, which she was an actress who died. She lived in the King William district here, and she haunts the place occasionally. She's a nice spirit. She wears a flowing dress, floral. She's pretty cool. She has a scent of rose water that she leaves behind, and she lets everybody know that Miss Margaret is here. There's a spirit of a boy named Eddie who was very sick at the time, and remember this was like a homeless shelter back in the day, so there were homeless kids, people sick, people dying, and Eddie was one of those kids. But as a ghost, he's no longer sick. He's a healthy young lad, and he likes to go banging through the kitchen, playing pranks on people, moving objects around, turning the lights on and off, running up and down the stairs and the aisles of the theater. And a picture of Margaret Gething hangs in the building under the glass, and Eddie added his own image to the picture after it was hung on the wall. There is a spirit of a gentleman here. He's dressed in turn-of-the-century church clothing, and recall this was originally a church, before it was a theater and a hot dog stand. He's a well-dressed man. He's in the sanctuary theater, keeps a friendly eye on the living. So most of the spirits here are nice. And then the last spirit that we have is the spirit of Henrietta, who was Margaret Gething's handmaid or servant, seamstress. She follows her around, and she was drawn to the costume racks and likes to move the costumes around. So here we have the last stop of our night. It wasn't going to be in this order, but it's not a bad place to end the night. South Alamo Street is a really happening place. I think the ghosts that do live here or reside here must get a kick out of all the fun that happens here on First Friday. Anyway, thanks for joining us on our trip through the Minger Hotel, Alamo Street Theater, the Emily Morgan, and the Lambermont, the Terrell Castle on East Grayson. We had a really good time showing you guys around and checking out some of the spirits here. Personally, we didn't get haunted, but we did hear some crazy stories. And well, we did. Okay, so Tori did get haunted, just not tonight, not yet. Anyway, we'll see. Spirits don't like when you poke around and start messing in their business, so maybe they'll come after us. Come at me, bro. Okay. Like, follow, subscribe. See you later.